Hey guys, welcome back to Exploring Careers. Today we're lucky enough to be joined by Josh and Jordan from the Mondelez team. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
No worries, thanks for having us.
No worries. Yeah, thank you.
No, looking forward to getting into this one because I like a lot of the brands that Mondelez have under the umbrella, which I'm sure we'll get to, which kind of leads me into my first question. A lot of people would be familiar with the brands that are a part of Mondelez, but might not have heard of Mondelez or understand who Mondelez are as a whole. So Josh, I might start with you. Are you able to tell us exactly who Mondelez are and what you guys do?
So, yeah, sure. Mondelez are a fast-moving consumer goods company focused predominantly on snacking. So that's in your grocery store or your local convenience shop, just with, like you said, some really known brands. You've got Cadbury, Oreo, Belvita, Ritz, just to sort of, and plenty more.
Perfect. And so what do you guys do on a day-to-day basis? Jordan, what's your role there?
So my role is a regional manager, and it essentially revolves around coaching and supporting a team to develop customer relationships and ensuring that our brands are winning in the marketplace. So we always look to see, are we winning in store? So those big Cadbury displays that you see, or those big Oreo displays you see in Woolworths or Coles or just any convenience store, that's us, and that's us trying to make our brands win in store.
Okay, cool. And Josh, are you the same or are you in a different area? What's the go there?
I'm a composite territory manager, so similar sort of stuff, just a different sort of level. So I'm more on that store level base, going around to different key decision makers in the store, or if they're a group manager, so that's group managers, store managers, grocery managers, just whoever sort of gets to decide what goes on in a store. Again, like Jordan was sort of saying, looking to, I guess, influence them in the direction that Mondelez wants them to, I guess, the overall aim is to drive sales.
Cool. So when you're walking through the supermarket, whether it be Coles or Woolies or whatever it may be, and you see, your Cadbury blocks or your Oreos, that type of thing, you guys are in control of making sure that's, looking as good as it can be and in a position where people are going to purchase the product. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I guess making sure we're getting what we've organised at a national level, and then there's also looking for opportunities as far as getting over and above activity to again look for opportunities in that particular store and work with the key decision maker of that store to drive sales even further. Interesting.
Okay, and we were talking just before we started this as well about both your backgrounds, and I know that you've both got interesting backgrounds with a particular sporting theme. Jordan, can you walk us through that first?
Yeah, sure. So during high school and university, I was a competitive swimmer. So really interested. I was competitive, interested in sports and whatnot. And then I actually studied a Bachelor of Economics at university. So not something you would particularly think of sales orientated, but I think that's one of the benefits of Mondelez. They don't really look to what degree you've done. They look at, are you interested in sales? Are you interested in developing a career? So, I'd say that.
And Josh, you're a junior tennis star, is that right? Or am I inflating things a bit there? What's the truth behind that?
Possibly slightly inflating. So I played college tennis in the States. So I got my accounting degree over there until COVID struck. But I guess, going off what Jordan said, accounting, I wasn't really looking too much at sales, but figured that I didn't want to do accounting. But I think when you mention a sporting background, I think you don't understand from the outside the competitive landscape in store, no matter what sort of channel you're in. So that sporting background can come in quite handy.
Okay, and it's interesting that you spoke about, what you guys both studied and maybe it not being the most traditional, pathway into what you thought, Mondelez would be like. So is that right in saying that regardless of what you study or what your background is or what education you've had, there are different opportunities available in Mondelez across a range of different areas. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's right. One of the things that attracted me to the role was how many opportunities there are in Mondelez. So, myself being from an economics background at university, there's, a broad landscape of different fields. So there's sales, there's marketing, there's finance, there's legal, there's manufacturing, all within, one business. So you're not really stuck to one thing, which was really an attractive prospect after university.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine. And Josh, you mentioned you obviously playing tennis in college. How did you then end up at Mondelez?
I did a 6 or 7 month stint in an accounting firm. Starting off my CPA, wasn't enjoying myself so much. Saw the Mondelez advertisement and just thought that's actually something I'd really like to do. It's not that really clear pathway of I'm going to become this particular profession. Rather, there's so much that goes into getting our snacks on the shelves that there's just an unlimited amount of opportunities. So, from someone that wasn't maybe 100% sure of exactly what hat they want to wear, Mondelez really stood out as somewhere where I could learn where I did want to be.
Perfect. Awesome. And you've spoken obviously a bit about, now who Mondelez are and what you guys do within Mondelez. What's something that I guess surprised you or something people wouldn't normally expect, about a career with Mondelez or in the FMCG industry? What's something that kind of stands out, Jordan? You got anything there?
Yeah, it's one of the things that stood out to me when I first started learning about Mondelez was it's one of the largest snack companies in the world, and it operates in, I think, over 150 countries around the globe. So if that's any idea to the scale of how big the business is and how many opportunities there are, that's one thing that surprised me.
And Josh, have you got anything to add to that?
Oh, for sure. Just the scale of the business and what it takes. Again, not to repeat myself, but what it takes to get food on the shelves. I guess the other one for me is the biggest surprise was the amount of research and development that goes into that, whether it's how we're manufacturing the goods or how we're displaying them, new goods, the deals in stores, the workings of everything is, I guess, the biggest surprise for me.
Cool. And for anyone who's listening to this and going, okay, cool, this sounds like right up my alley or something I could do, what's your main selling point, I guess, to really win those people over that are maybe thinking, okay, this is interesting? Josh, what would you say to people who are looking at Mondelez and thinking about it? What would you say to those people?
I'd say, it's an awesome experience. I mean, not often can you find an entry-level job where you're facing key decision makers all the time, making your own decisions on how to drive sales, using techniques, being exposed to teachers all the time that are, sharing their experiences on how to develop relationships or manage accounts. And just, every day is different because you're working with different people every day. So I'd for sure say jump at it.
Awesome. And Jordan, the future of the business, you feel like that's a big selling point as well, being in a future-proof business and opportunities for development and growth. Would that be right in saying?
Yeah. One of the things that attracted me to the role was they really have an emphasis on being a growth business, but also growing individuals. So that, Josh mentioned it before, that's developing your own career and growing as an individual. So having a business that emphasizes those things and really has a passion on growing people is a great thing for graduates.
Awesome. And if we could jump in a time machine, which I know we can't, but if we could, and you could go back and speak to yourself while you're at high school, maybe, year 9, 10, around that age, what's some advice that you would give yourself knowing what you know now? Josh, might start with you. What would you tell yourself if you could, or any young people potentially listening to this and looking for some advice, feeling a bit lost? Because I know when you're going through those high school years, it can feel very overwhelming and you don't exactly know what you should be doing and people pulling you in different directions. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, I'd definitely say don't let people, like you said, pull you into a particular pathway, especially if you're not maybe particularly passionate about it or very sure about a certain area. Definitely keep your eyes open, and more so look to acquire experiences and look for something you're passionate about, whilst just taking the opportunities that sort of present themselves in the areas that you may be interested in.
Perfect. And Jordan, you got any words of wisdom for any young people watching this?
If I could go back, I would say to myself, embrace the change and be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because I think that's where most of the growth and learning comes from. And that's one thing I really like in Mondelez.
Definitely, that's great advice. Well, I think, guys, we've covered everything. You've given a great background into yourselves and Mondelez and why it's such a great place to work. For anybody listening and you are keen on learning more, you can obviously visit the Mondelez profile on explorecareers.com.au, jump on the socials. We'll leave all the links down below. So if you want to do a bit more research, a bit more investigating about what a career at Mondelez is, we'll leave all those links down below. But Jordan and Josh, thanks so much again for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers, no worries.